Well, Dan Maguire, welcome to Living on Music, my man.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Oh man, it's so great to have you here. Considering the fact that, again, and when I get, I'm a cover band guy. I'm not a singer-songwriter like you and most of the people that, all of the people that I have on Living on Music, but to be able to collaborate in certain situations with people who I can tell have something very special going on is what happened with me, with you, when we did the Tom
Thank
Petty
you.
tribute at Earps Ordinary, the amazing new
Hmm.
venue in Fairfax. That was a blast, and I could tell that you were really something else. And then when we talked about what you've done and what I've researched, you got something very special going on. So
Thank you.
congratulations on your musical
Thank you.
life at the moment.
Yeah, thank you.
No, no problem. 2023, let's go back a little bit before that. What I've done since
Okay.
2020 is I've talked to musicians just a little bit, and one day maybe I won't. But I wanted to know from your perspective, how did you deal with the pandemic hitting a musician and a guy working and with a family and things like that?
Oh man. Well, compartmentalize helped a lot. Like family's here and work is here and music is here.
Right,
It did the best with that. Family did well. Business, I work at a car dealership.
right.
It was a little scary at first, but we did okay.
Okay.
As far as music, what I did is I'm very close to the Wisconsin border, so there was a lot of opportunity there as things were shutting down all over the place. So
Wow.
yeah,
I mean, it's an amazing thing, Dan. 90, probably 95% of the musicians that I've talked to, and we've talked about what happened in 2020, they were able to do things. They were able to
yeah,
do things like writing music, like at
hmm,
least continuing to play and enhance
yes.
their own talent. Did you write any songs for Travelin Light or were those all done a long time ago? Or when did all that music, that came out in 2023, right?
It did. Those are songs that some of them go back numerous years and
Nice.
some of them not as long, but no, none of those were produced during the pandemic. Those are just songs that like, all right, I got to get these things recorded.
Right. And so you got through the pandemic. Did you
Mhm.
continue? How did you and your family handle it all?
We did well, I mean, we
Good.
did we did as best as we hoped and could expect. And it was a challenging time for everybody, but we came out the other side of it and everything's okay.
Pretty amazing to have children go through that because,
Ooh,
they're going to look back on it and go, wow. And, hopefully nothing, but there's so much other stuff floating around in our world right
yeah,
now. It's a crazy time, but I'm glad you got through that. You
sure
came,
did.
when you got through the pandemic and things like that, did you begin to go back and play, or how did music kind of oomph back into your life before 2023 when Travel and Light came out?
Well, it's interesting, like you said, like the other musicians you've talked to, I kept writing. I'm always practicing. So my sort of development never really even slowed down. I got gigs where I could in Wisconsin. And then as the world started to reopen, I had established a lot of relationships and it just kind of started getting put back together again, kind of organically. I would just reach out, touch base, and
Uh-oh.
things just started happening again.
Oh, I'm real glad.
Yeah.
Travel and Light. Okay, first album, your first album.
Yep.
As
As a solo artist.
as
Yep.
a solo artist, after
Mhm.
years and years, and we'll talk a little bit about your influences in the beginning of your musical life coming up.
Sure.
But you got Travel and Light coming out. How did that feel, and what was Travel and Light to you in a nutshell of music? What did it feel like and to Dan
Man.
McGuire?
Yeah, that again, it captures, anywhere from going back, say, 12 or 15 years, some of these songs that have been kind of reworked. But a good friend of mine in Austin, I send him music. He's a legit musician. He's a legit successful guy in a non-music world. And I've always really appreciated him and his opinion. He said, Dan, you got to record these songs. So I did. And
Oh.
and it came out great. It was me and my friend Abby and a guitar, and it just came out wonderful.
Summertime, I take you dancing in a suit and tie. You wear that happy dress, the way that it seems. When it comes, all the leaves cover the ground. Them birds are quiet now. You're holding that kiss. Take a look, I got forgotten now. And you got a way to keep a memory down, oh baby. You mess around and another time. You find a new one and a newer line. You hold a hand. Oh, smile now when you laugh so high. Your low start to cry, thinking of me. Oh, take a look, I got forgotten now. And you got a way to keep a memory down, oh baby. I'm over you too. Baby, over you too. So, bye-bye.
Yes, I've been listening to it, Dan. And
Thanks.
in fact, even this morning and this afternoon, before we were going with talking, you got some beautiful stuff. And
Thank you.
the guitar work is something really special. And we'll talk a little bit about the emphasis on the acoustic feel of the way you're doing, but the way you're playing and the picking you're doing. And we'll talk a little bit about that. This one, Album of the Year at Rockford
Yeah,
Area Music Industry, which has to
yeah.
be really a wonderful thing because of what that industry and what that thing does for Rockford.
Yeah, that was stunning. I mean, it really blew me away. And I gotta say, for the Rockford area music industry, this is a really large organization that
Wow.
musicians in the area are a part of. It's all volunteers,
Right.
and these people they're working their asses off for this, and we are incredibly fortunate to have it.
Right.
Um, and it's your peers, and you get recognized by your peers. And I wasn't able to go to the awards ceremony that night, but my phone started. And I just remember I was sitting with my wife and my daughter Lily. I'm like, Rebecca, I just won album of the year. I had no idea.
That's spectacular.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
I love that you got that. And some of the things that I've read about you talking about it, you talk about how you increased all your efforts and all your resources going
Yeah.
into this. What does that mean for Dan Maguire? What did you up the ante on when you were doing this?
Well, really, like whatever it takes to develop any kind of a product, I just increased everything, whether it's financial or my efforts in getting the product play. So booking and really focusing on songwriting and working on creating an even larger network of musicians. So all of it.
Right. What
I
did
was
you
very encouraged by the award, and I'm eternally thankful for that organization for that.
Oh yeah, that's fabulous. And you are so that album came out around 2023.
Hmm.
For the last 2 years ish, it's been playing out live
Yes,
and getting ready with Magnolia, which you
correct.
said you're working on. Talk a little bit about the development over the last couple of years of Magnolia.
So Magnolia, these are newer songs now in the
Oh,
past several years, and same kind of process. I get the songs, I play out regularly as often as possible. I play new songs in front of people several times. If
right,
audiences like the song, that's a song that's a contender to go on a record. The
right.
ones that get the most response, those are the ones. And then I just start the process again, get the songs to Abby. This time there's going to be a full band, so I got the songs for musicians and the pieces are coming together.
Oh, it is going to be full band.
Yeah.
Now, what prompted the full band push to doing this record, getting back to kind of what you had been done before in life with playing with bands?
Yeah, that and just meeting more players. And there's a great restaurant in Rockford called Lino's, an Italian restaurant, and
Mm,
they have jazz down there. And these
oh,
are really solid players in Rockford. And I've become friends with many of them. And so I approached them, said, "You guys want to be the studio band?" And these guys are like, "Yeah, of course, we're in." So that's
oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
spectacular. Well, good
yep.
luck with Magnolia. I want to,
Thank you.
we'll be in, hopefully keeping in touch a lot, and
Sure
we'll
will.
talk about that as you go. I love the fact, born 1970, so you're younger than
Mhm.
me. I just turned 64 last week,
Happy birthday.
I sang a verse of "When I'm 64" to people, and they got a kick out of it because I've always thought that song would just be, or that age would be hundreds of years later, and now I'm like,
Sure.
"When I'm 64,"
That's
and
right.
but 1970, and you were born where I went to college and graduated, in one of my favorite places on earth, Boston, Massachusetts, right?
Correct. I was.
Wow. How did being born in Boston come to bear with your family?
Well, so my father's originally from Jersey City. My mother's originally from Arlington, Virginia. They met at Georgetown,
Oh,
and my dad had a job in Boston, and that's where I was born. And then I was 18 months, I think, and he got an offer from some friends in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he
right.
became.
Right. So you were Boston as a birth boy for a couple of
Yeah.
years, and then to Tulsa. How long did you were you in Tulsa until you moved away from there?
So Tulsa from 2 to like 18 when I went to college, and then I've always gone back through the years. But in my heart and soul, I've never left Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, that's sweet. What was something that you loved about it?
You know, I guess a lot of that comes from retrospect and just kind of looking back.
Yeah.
It was a good, I had a good life. I had good family, I had good parents. I've got friends, and it was a great city. And then I don't know, looking at it, like the culture of Tulsa is just so cool, and the musical heritage is so rich and still so vibrant. I
Oh.
mean, I could go on forever about Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, that's neat. Well, that's very sweet that you feel like that about somewhere you grew up. I grew up in Connecticut, in Wilton, Connecticut, about an hour from New York City, and I loved that small town my
Yeah.
whole life too. And you look back and you're like, wow, at least we had something. But Tulsa's a really well-known area. Growing up, you're introduced to music. I guess
Mhm.
your older siblings really helped you get music going, right? What were the bigger influences from as a young Dan?
So accidentally, because my brothers and sisters, there's 5 of them. They were taking piano lessons. They'd come home and complain about it. My mom said, "You want to do this?" I was like, "No." But I got introduced to music because of their music. Like I remember Billy Joel Glass Houses from my
Oh,
sister and things like that. Yeah. So then I got into it, and then man, I was a young, and I got introduced to Eric Clapton. It's like,
oh.
oh, whoa! But it was the Clash, Rock the Casbah that was the moment that I was like, man, that's what I want to be, just like those guys.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, they were something else. What a unique
Yeah.
band. We keep
Yeah.
listening to them today and we're like, wow, that sound is
Yeah.
something special. And I love that you said the first video you saw was that one that you remember. I remember the first video. Remember the
Oh
first
yeah.
video that was on MTV? Do you remember what
Oh,
that
it was
was?
yeah, was it Video Killed the Radio Star?
Yes. Bingo.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's so funny when I hear that these days. I'm like, boy, what a song to start
I
MTV with.
know.
We're killing the radio. But anyway, MTV was an instrumental part for all of
Oh
us,
my
and
God.
the videos just grew of our bands and things like
Yeah.
that. Remember ZZ Top was a
Yeah.
incredible videoer, and everybody really had an amazing thing. So you continued your music began. What was in the early days and as in high school went along? Where did the
You
music
know,
take
I
off?
I took some guitar lessons in grade school, but I didn't really pursue it. But I just was kind of jacking around with it. But what I always did, I was always singing. Like I'd get my records and I was singing to them. And I dabbled with writing songs throughout my younger life, but I just had no confidence to like do anything with it.
Right.
And it's when I went to college and Regis had a guitar professor, and I signed up for that, and that was it, man. Lightning speed from then on out.
Oh, I love that's
Yeah.
began. Going back a couple of years before that, though, your first concert was a concert that I saw. It wasn't my first one, but it was at Madison Square Garden, sitting directly behind the stage, like I think 2 rows behind, and you're almost right there seeing Bob Dylan and
Bob
Tom.
Dylan and Tom Petty.
I mean, can you believe we got to see Petty and the
No,
Heartbreakers do an unbelievable set, and then that Dylan guy came out
God.
and saw it. Have you seen Complete Unknown by any chance?
I have not seen that one yet.
It's very good. I think
Okay.
you'd love it, being a
Yeah.
musician person, and Timothy Chalamet does a fabulous job. But I think
Yeah. Yeah.
as a musician, you'd love it. So you graduated, you went to Regis,
Yep.
which that's absolutely wonderful.
Mhm.
But I love the quote that you said: "College was a sideline enterprise for me."
That's correct. It was. Uh, Most people like I went to this tie and blazer high school, so it was
Right.
getting you ready for college. And I applied to one school, which is Regis, and the recruiter talked to me and he's like, I've tried to recruit all your brothers and sisters. You should come. He talked about the school for like a minute
Oh,
and then he talked about Denver for like 10 minutes. And I was like,
oh,
yeah, great. So most people that I graduated with were going to college. I was going to Denver and college, there it is. College was a part of what I was going to do.
oh, that's classic though. And I love the fact and did that really kick you into some further musical world?
Oh man, that is Scott Smith is his name, my music professor. And then I was invited into this ensemble for he said his more advanced students when I was at Regis. I was in rock and roll bands. I graduated, still in rock and roll bands, still taking
Right.
lessons. He said, I've got some private students and they want to do an ensemble. So then I was like, I'm in. Yeah. So he invited me on that one. Well, I was like 24, 25, and the next youngest player was 45. I was at a dead sprint for years with these guys just to keep up. So the learning was unbelievable.
Oh, I bet it was. And your musical tastes, I love very similar to mine growing up too. The Black Crowes, the Allman Brothers.
Hmm.
The loudest concert I've ever seen was at like kind of at a place in Poughkeepsie, New York, where I saw the Black Crowes, and I was such
Man.
a huge fan, but it was deafening. And I'm like, I love loud concerts, but I'm like, guys, I want to hear you better. But I've seen them many times since. The Allman Brothers, I've interviewed Greg
Yeah.
Allman
Yep.
and Derek Trucks and people like that. And the Allman Brothers are a huge fan of mine. Then I saw you kind of were becoming inspired by people like Chris Cornell and Soundgarden,
Oh,
Alice in
yeah.
Chains. Well,
Mhm.
it just your musical tastes seem to be wonderfully varied.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was in my 20s when the whole Seattle thing started to emerge. And I just was immediately struck by Soundgarden. I just thought they were phenomenal. And his evolution as an artist and songwriter is so impressive. If you just listen to one song from an early Soundgarden to all the
Right.
way up. And my wife and I saw his Higher Truth in Madison, Wisconsin. It was just him and a guy with him playing stringed instruments, and he tells stories. Unbelievable, just
Oh.
unreal, incredible.
Yes, I was a reasonable fan of Soundgarden. Then when he passed, and I started really going deeper into him, which isn't the way you want to do it. You want to do it when they're alive. But it was
Yeah.
so neat. I was in television for 40 years, and I stopped my career not long ago, and been doing music and writing and playing and singing and stuff like that. But
Cool.
I was totally into television. I was doing small commercials in a town in upstate New York, and I remember leaving a commercial shoot and driving down the road and heard on the radio that Stevie Ray Vaughan had died that night, the
Oh
night
man.
before. And I know to you, he was,
Yeah.
as you called him, an effing goat in one of your
Yeah.
notes, because he is the greatest. How did Stevie Ray Vaughan move you?
You know, good God, that was another one, very much like the Clash that I heard him like, and I'm older now, and I'm like,
Right.
good Lord, who is this? And then, in college, learning or trying to learn his style is trying to sort of cop his style, which I wasn't that great at, but he is definitely a part of what I do. It's in there, but he, the 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 impact that he made on me as a musician is almost hard to articulate because my God, he's so he's so far ahead. It's untouchable.
I agree with you 100%. And it's another guy who had cleaned up his
Yeah, sure
problems
did.
and was ready to go and had a ridiculous way to go into the
I
side of
know.
that mountain. But it's great you were moved by him, and his music
Hmm.
will be eternal. Again, after college, you're in the bands before 2000 came, which is where your life began in a huge way with your wife,
Yep.
with Rebecca, and then the
Mhm.
family. What was the music growth before that as 2000 approached?
In Denver, so I was in this ensemble with my professor, who's now my music partner for 8 or 9 years, and I was in rock and roll bands at the same time. So I, I was always doing music, and because of
Right,
that ensemble, I was always learning. I wasn't really into the music in the ensemble because I wanted to do rock and roll,
right.
but I was into what I was learning. And Scott Smith is the single biggest influence and impact on what I do musically, without question.
Wow. Oh, that's
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah, that
yeah.
great person to have gotten into and continue to be with. You were
So
the
lucky.
when did that band that you were in break up? It was sometime in the mid 90s.
No, they kept going. I quit the band about
Okay.
a year before I left Denver. it was everything, man. I, just a lot happened. I'm like, I kind of need a break from everything. So I
Right.
stopped doing the band.
Cool. Yeah, not uncommon, my friend.
Yeah.
Everybody tries to find their proper paths and things like
Yeah.
that. 2000, how did you meet Rebecca?
We met in college at
Oh,
Regis.
wow. So
We
you
met
knew
in
each other for a
1990.
while.
We met in 1990. So we really started dating like 1990, and they got married in 2000.
Perfect. Well, yeah, you gave yourself 10 years to check into whether it's going to work or not. And
Yeah.
it seems like it is, because from what I've seen, it's just a beautiful family you have.
Thank you.
You moved to Rockford, Illinois. How did you pick where you are now and have been what now for 25 years or around there? How did you pick
So
Rockford?
Rebecca's family's in Rockford, and neither one of us have family in Denver. And my mom and dad were leaving Tulsa to go back to the East. And I love to go visit the East Coast. I love it, but I could not live out there. It's not for me.
Right.
So we said, all right, well, let's go to Rockford and, let's try this for 2 years, give it a little experience, see what happens. And we're 25 years later.
Oh, that's spectacular. And briefly about your currently three kids.
Three kids. Yeah. Madeline, 23, about to be 24, Liam, 20, and Lily is 15 as of just a couple of days ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Spectacular. I have a 29 and a 23-year-old, and
Okay.
it's pretty amazing. We want to see them all succeed so
Oh
well
man.
and be happy in their lives. You were in a band
Yeah.
though after you got into Rockford. What was the first band you joined?
Well, I was here for a little bit before I really started jumping into music
Right.
again. And then I
Right.
started putting the pieces together, and it was called Empty Pockets. And it was a three-piece. It was music I wrote and some covers. I've actually never been in a cover band.
Wow, good for you.
So, and that's not believe me, that's not a statement of criticism or support.
No,
I just never have been.
yeah, no, that's wonderful because a lot of people, again, you have it in your soul to do the original stuff, and there are a
I
lot of
do
people like
like
that
it.
in the DC region, which is just so
Hmm.
spectacular musically.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's a whole bunch of guys who are like just yeah, it's all focused on original stuff, and I love
Yeah.
that. You continued. You weren't going to do the solo. You hadn't committed yet. You got a call from a friend. Talk about how that kicked things into, I guess, a first gig at Greenwich Village Art Fair and then beyond.
Oh yeah, my friend Ramon. So I wasn't that was after Empty Pockets had stopped. I quit
Right.
doing that one. It's another like too much, too much. And then my friend Ramon called me, and we've got the Greenwich Village Art Festival here in Rockford, which is
Ooh,
phenomenal. It's such a great art fair. And there's a
wow.
big tent with like kids activities, you do art stuff. And
Sure.
anyway, he called me and he's like, Dan, I have a slot I need filled. It's an hour. I could you do this for me? And I was like, Ramon, I'm not really doing that right now. I appreciate it so much. I just don't know if I don't think I'm ready for that. And he goes, Dan, I'm not asking.
It's like, come on.
I said, okay, Ramon, I'll do the gig.
Oh, I love that. And then did that really begin where things have
It
been
did.
surging since?
And with that, I'm like, you know what? Here we go again. So I'm just going to do it again. And so I've been doing it solo.
And was when you went to the solo thing, when did the thoughts of doing a record come to you? Early on or later? I know it came out in 2023.
Yeah, probably my friend in Austin, David, who's a legit musician himself, and he's just a successful guy outside music and family, and just a good guy. I've always really respected him. I'd send him songs just, from my phone, and he's like, Dan, you got to record these things. So I said, all right. So I recorded them.
Oh, and that's great.
Yeah.
And again, the feedback on your on the original one was just on Travelin Light was just wonderful.
Yeah.
And then Magnolia, I think what are the kind of the aspirations musically? Just continuing to do what you're doing now, as well as kind of doing life with
Yeah.
family and things like that.
Yeah, I keep it as balanced as possible. But as far as music, people ask me that, where do you want to go? I'm like, I'm just going to keep going and see what happens because it's on an upward trend, and I think I'm old enough to know if it plateaus. Like, all right, I think I hit my ceiling, and
Right.
it just keeps on an upward trend, and I am enjoying it, and it's going well, and I'm pretty happy with everything. So why not just keep putting some shoulder into it?
Well, and I've been wondering how Brent Funkhauser, who was the guy who ran our tributes, and I'd been in
Mhm.
a Bruce Springsteen one, which for me was like going to heaven, being able to do a tribute to Bruce. And then
Yeah.
The Princeman was one was a wild. Then how did he contact you to be part of the Petty one?
So I got in touch with him, or I got connected with him through Michael at Earps,
Yes.
because I would go out to the area, visit my mom, visit family, and then my brother Gerard is friends with Michael, and so that's how I met him. And so Michael introduced me to Brent, and Brent invited me to play in a singer-songwriter night. I said,
Yes.
"Yeah, of course." And then shortly thereafter, he said, "Hey, I'm doing this Tom Petty Wildflowers event. You want to be a part?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Of course I
Great.
do.
Yeah, Brent's doing a really fun job at Herbst, and that was a, again, as I said at the beginning of our chat here, to be able to be around people like you who are real seasoned, wonderful singer-songwriter
Thank you.
folks was a joy. I hope you do some wonderful things in this musical ride you continue to
Thank
be
you.
on. I'm going to continue to listen to Travelin Light. You got Magnolia. Let's keep in
Coming.
touch on
Yep.
Magnolia's release. And again, I'm wishing you the very best, and thank you for being on Living on Music, man.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Good. I'm glad. And again, music that we both love, the Pettys, the
Yeah.
Claptons, the Stevie Rays,
Yeah.
that music's never going to go away, no
No.
matter. And so we'll keep on it. But keep in touch, and thanks again, man.
All right. Thank you.
You too.